Episode 9 picks up in the clearing by the frozen lake, where the Grimm killed by the old woman are still dissipating and our protagonists are staring at her in shock. The woman is doubled over, pushing at her back and grousing after throwing it out during her attack. She turns to the crew and says, "What are y'all sitting around for? Get your gear in order! We only have a few minutes until the rest of the pack shows up!" Roman starts up, "Now wait just a minute," only for RWBY to cut him off, saying, "We don't have a minute. Everyone, grab what you can, we need to head out now." RWBY begins pulling at some of the dropped supply bags, only to realize that no one else is moving. "Guys," she says, trying to get their attentions. Blake blinks to awareness, pointing to the relic at RWBY's waist. "I'm sorry, but are we not going to talk about what we just saw?" Yang's eyes are wide, chittering, "Raven," and Weiss mumbles in understanding. "Raven was right?" RWBY says, "We can talk about it later." Roman stomps his foot. "Like hell we can! Did you see what that coot has been hiding from us?" RWBY snaps. "Yes, I saw, Roman, but she's right that there are probably more Grimm on the way." Roman scowls. "Haven't you ever heard of stranger danger, Red? I've met plenty of huntsmen, plenty of crooked ones. She could have us walking away without our kidneys for all we know." Crow steps in, staring at the old woman. "You haven't met this one. Maria Calavera, the Grim Reaper." RWBY raises her head to that, looking at the old woman. Maria turns, her face still serious. "Introductions are nice, but we're wasting time. Pick up the pace, we're burning daylight." RWBY's face goes from a flash of awe to serious. She turns to Weiss and gets her attention, saying, "Weiss? Hey Weiss, I need you focused, okay?" Weiss stares at her blankly before snapping to, gathering one of the bags and dropping to lift RWBY to her feet. RWBY goes about giving orders, having Roman push Bumblebee from behind, Yang and Blake push it from the handlebars so they can steer it, the luggage loaded onto its back, and Neo loaded onto the bike itself where Yang can keep her supported. Crow and Maria will serve as their first line of defense, and Blake serves as the rear guard of the team. The team, now organized, look nervously into the woods and Maria and begin their journey following her. We cut away to a spot in the woods a considerable distance away, where we find a lone hand sticking out of a massive pile of snow. It springs to life, and Adam crawls his way out of the mound. A strain of blood travels down from his forehead, dripping into the snow where it begins to blend in with patches of red leaves. Around Adam, the world has shifted to forever fall, the air flickering with leaves and snowfall. Gritting his teeth, Adam looks up at the mountain and clenches his hands, an act that helps him clear his vision. Picking up Wilton Blush, Adam limps into the wilderness. A special thanks goes out to all of my wonderful patrons for supporting the channel. If you like this content and want more of it, please consider supporting it. Also consider picking up my new action-adventure novel, The Artificer, which is now available for purchase on Amazon in digital and in print. With that all said, back to your regularly scheduled fixing. With a crossfade, we find ourselves in the woods with Team Ruby Kernum, trudging and crunching their way through the snow. Everyone is visibly tired and injured. The sun has dipped even further, and there's barely any of the pink light of the sun guiding their way. As night continues to fall, Maria turns on a flashlight built into her mechanical eyes, and Yang, a bit delirious from exhaustion, snorts with amusement as she says, "High beams." RWBY looks to Yang with visible concern while Weiss says, "She's making jokes. That's a good sign, right?" RWBY, silent, keeps her focus on Yang. After a little more quiet, Crow turns to Maria and asks, "So, what are you doing out here? I'd heard you retired." Maria barely spares him a glance and replies, "Recon." Weiss, most directly behind Maria, glances around in confusion as the curt answer hangs in the air, asking, "Recon for what?" Maria replies, just as curt, "Mission boards." There's a pause as everyone waits for more elaboration. Maria sighs in exasperation and says, "For a huntsman, sweetie. Don't they teach you anything at Sanctum?" Blake looks forward to Maria, correcting, "We're not from Sanctum." Maria looks back at her and Weiss and says, "Could have fooled me," before looking forward again. Weiss's spine goes straight, bristling. Weiss says, "Excuse you? We're from Beacon." And Maria rolls her eyes. "Oh dear, you really are lost." RWBY pops up to defend her team's dignity, but the words never come to her throat and she deflates. "Yeah, kinda." There's more silence before Crow says, "We've had a bad day. These kids would impress you. They've been in tighter spots than you would think." Maria again glances back only a moment before saying dismissively, "But still kids, huh?" Crow seems almost physically slapped by the comment, having his words thrown right back at him. Dejected, he pulls out his flask, takes a swig, and continues walking without another word. Blake, from behind, sadly realizes aloud, "We would have been third years." Yang grips the handlebars tighter as Blake says it. Ruby laughs exhaustedly and comments idly that, "Yeah, we have just finished year 2, wouldn't we?" Yang joins in with a chuckle of her own, asking, "Think we would have fought Juniper in the Vital tournament next year?" And Weiss tacks on proudly, "Yeah, we would have kicked their asses." Yang echoes back, "Damned straight." The mirth of the conversation is undercut by everyone in the group shivering harder and harder as it progresses. Blake cuts in teasingly, "The heiress swears now." Weiss retorts dryly, "Plane crash?" To which Yang gives an exhausted giggle. Roman looks up at them, baffled. "Are you kidding me? Have you all lost your minds?" Maria cuts in, "At least one of you still have your marbles. Focus up, kids. We still have a ways to go." There is quiet, but Ruby snickers as she reignites the conversation. "And after that, we would have had Weiss treat us to a beach resort." Weiss blinks for a moment before smiling warmly and saying, "Well, I know a few good ones. I could really work on my tan." Yang chuckles, interrupted halfway with a hoarse cough, before she says, "Tan? Weiss, you're whiter than the snow." Blake groans, "Don't talk about snow. Let's talk about the beach. You probably have fresh seafood and a nice warm place to curl up with a good book." Yang looks sideways at Blake with amusement, and Blake rolls her eyes with a smile. "You know what I mean." Roman stops pushing the bike and puts his hands to his head, saying, "You're all insufferable." Crow turns back and says, "They're just trying to keep their spirits up." Roman's shoulders slump as he stares with dead eyes at Crow. He walks towards the center of the group, waving a hand to Ruby and Weiss. "They're not taking anything seriously. We need to be doing more than just walking in a random direction following some battered old crone." The group stop walking and he continues, "We have 2 people freezing to death, and Red here can't walk on her own." Crow shoots back, "If we rush, we'll just exhaust ourselves." And Roman is quick to fire back, "And if we don't rush, we'll freeze to death." Blake scowls at him, "We're making the best time that we can." As she says this, the color slips from Neo's illusory appearance, reverting her to the version of her introduced as Jane Doe back in Fixing Volume 4. Roman, unaware, continues his rant. "Best time to where? No one here has actually questioned where the old crone is leading us. We could have just set up some fires back in one of the train cars and waited for rescue." Ruby breaks in. "We would have been overrun in hours. We need somewhere safer, and she's the only person that knows the terrain. If she says we'll get there, we'll get there." Roman finally snaps, "I don't know if you remember, but I'm on borrowed time." After the outburst, Roman is breathing heavily, completely frazzled. He elaborates, "Red, none of us know how long I have left. If I'm gone, Neo will..." Before Roman can finish, Neo succumbs to hypothermia and falls to the snow with a weak thump. There's a moment of pause before everyone reacts, Roman especially rushing to Neo's side and pulling her up into his arms. He bundles her up with the cloak, and with a panicked breath, he looks to Maria, murder in his eyes. "Where are we going?" We cut away to Adam, stumbling through the forest due to his injuries. Losing his footing, he falls to his knees, and we suddenly find ourselves in the shoes of teenaged Adam. He's doing hard labor moving boxes in front of an apartment building, and is being yelled at by a human man for dropping one of the containers. Adam's mother, an exhausted-looking bovine faunus nearby, tells Adam to listen to the man before Adam has to go off to his actual day job. The man, identified as his landlord, whispers into Adam's mother's ear, and the two go off together into their apartment, while Adam is left working and glaring after them. As he finishes stacking the boxes, one of the faunus helping around the building asks him, "Hey, wanna make some quick cash? It'll be no skin off anyone's back, just a couple of humans. Promise." Adam takes a moment to ponder the offer, and we gradually fade into the present, with adult Adam wobbling to his feet. As he slinks deeper into the forest, we hear young Adam ask, "Where do I need to go?" We cut away to blackness, hearing Maria saying, "I was going to scout this place before I saw the train crash." We get intermittent cuts of feet rushing through the snow, and a cut of Roman rushing far ahead of the group, with Ruby's voice tailing after him. "Roman, wait up! We don't know what's in there!" The camera focuses on the tree line where Roman and the others can be seen trudging out. It pans down, passing behind a farmstead sign as they approach. When Roman closes in on the sign, He pauses, sparing it a glance before hardening his eyes and boldly walking through the gate it overshadows. The rest of the party stumble their way to the sign and look up at it, revealing the boldly carved name, Brunswick Farms. Everyone looks at it with trepidation, save for Maria, who is indifferent. Roman, meanwhile, has already tread halfway down the central thoroughfare of the homestead, keeping his head down and refusing to look at the buildings, pulling Neo's slumped form closer and closer to his chest. He reaches the door to the main house and goes to open it, only to find it locked. He tries to bash it in with his shoulder, and when it doesn't give, he sucks in a breath of frustration and kicks it in. We cut to black on the sound of the door breaking, ending the episode.